Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live training. Today I'm going to be covering the easiest way that I know of anyway to do things that currently feel very difficult or challenging, but to do it in a way where it is not very stressful and it is not very anxiety inducing. And it's just a quick little tip. I think it'll only take us a few minutes for me to explain this, and I think you'll be able to use it right away to start doing things that feel challenging to you right now, but to do it in a way where your anxiety is dramatically reduced. So really quick, if you're new to our community, welcome. I'm glad to have you. My name's Ty Hicks, founder of mentalhealthcoaching.com. We put this free content out there for you guys every single week because we really believe that nobody deserves to live with anxiety or depression. And we want to make sure that you have the skills and the tools to get the mental health that you deserve. And so this little tip is one that I have found works incredibly well for myself, and I've found it work really well with clients too. And the good news is it's incredibly easy to implement. So if any of you guys have questions as we do the live stream, feel free to add them in the comments and I will address them at the end. So here's the basic principle. What I found when I've worked with clients over the years is they will have a series of things that they will indicate is very hard for them to do. And that is the exact language that they will use. So it could be anything from driving their vehicle, going to work, going to the grocery store, talking to their significant other, having a difficult conversation, okay, any sort of thing like that. So if you are dealing with anxiety right now, there probably is a list of things for you that you feel is very difficult or challenging to do. So I just want you to sort of mentally imagine one of those things that you currently feel difficulty doing, and when you go towards doing it, when you go to take the action of implementing it, you find that at a minimum you experience resistance, and then maybe at a maximum you might procrastinate, or you just may avoid it or press pause and basically go distract yourself with something else. So just think about one of those things. And here's what I found. What I've found is that there is a very particular language pattern that people will use that will induce anxiety and that will keep them from following through on certain things. Two words in particular. And the first word is the word hard. The second word is the word can't. Okay, so some of you guys have been with our community for a long while. Some of you are brand new. But one of the things you may have heard me teach before is that there are three ingredients that cause anxiety. And one of those ingredients is the internal language that we use in the moment. So in other words, we can only feel anxiety if we are firing off certain language in the moment. The reason is, whenever we use certain language in the moment, it basically becomes an activated belief system. Okay, so to make this really simple, let's say I am planning on going to the grocery store, and I start to imagine going to the grocery store, and then what happens is my mind is going to have some habitual internal dialogue that will come up about going to the grocery store. And so if I say to myself, gosh, going to the grocery store is going to be so hard, it's going to be really hard, it's going to be difficult, I can't do it. That language will create in that moment an activated belief system. Okay, so basically we believe anything that we tell ourselves in a repetitive basis. So one of the key things I teach my clients is that repetition creates belief. Your nervous system will literally believe anything that you tell it on a regular enough occurrence. So if you develop a habit of saying to yourself, going to the grocery store is going to be hard, it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard, then that's exactly what you're going to feel is entirely true. Even worse than the word hard is the word can't. Okay, can't is the number one anxiety-inducing word that I have found anyway in the human language, is the word can't. And the reason is, when we tell ourselves, I just can't, I can't, I can't, it makes you feel convinced that you are trapped, that you are without choices. And we feel anxiety in direct proportion to how few choices we believe that we have. And so if you want to reduce anxiety, the fastest way to reduce anxiety is to start to use language in a way where you open up more choices for yourself. Okay, and so here's the simple little recommendation that I will recommend for you. I've given this exact instruction to clients before, and when they really faithfully follow through on this, I've never seen it not substantially reduce their anxiety levels. Okay, so what I recommend them doing, first of all, is you can replace the word can't with the phrase I can and I will. Okay, and you can add modifiers to that. So for example, let's say you have a really difficult time going to the grocery store. You haven't had the ability to do that recently. You could, instead of saying I can't do it, which will convince you that it's just flat out not a possibility, there's no way you're going to be able to move forward, what you can replace that with is I can and I will, even if it's a little challenging. Right? I can and I will, even if it's a little challenging. I can and I will, even if it's a little challenging. Okay, and what you're going to realize is, as you start to use that language pattern, another word for that language, that we call that an incantation, something you say to yourself regularly that either causes you to feel something negative or causes you to feel something positive. So as you fire off that positive incantation, I can and I will, I can and I will, I can and I will, even if it's challenging, you're going to start to believe, you're going to feel certain that you can and you will. And you're going to find that that makes it far more easy for you to actually take action and move forward on that item, which is really powerful. Okay, now the second recommendation I'm going to give you is also an adjustment in language that makes a really big difference. And that is to change the word hard to the word new. Okay, so very often people will get in a habit of using the word hard to describe something. And when you start to describe it as it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, then all of a sudden you feel a resistance towards doing it. You feel like you're not able to move forward. It feels like something you have to back away from. Okay? And what I've done before is I've given clients this exact assignment. I say, look, don't use the word hard anymore. Instead, use the word new, and let's see what happens. And every single time it's reduced their anxiety around that particular task or activity noticeably. And in many cases, it will actually take them from previously not being able to follow through to now being able to follow through on that item. And here's why we use the word new. So think about something that currently feels difficult for you. In fact, actually, better yet, think of it this way. Think of something that in the past was really, really difficult to you. Maybe it even felt impossible to you, but now you're able to do it. Okay, so a common example would be driving a vehicle. The one that I actually prefer to use is like learning to tie your shoes. Okay, so just about every single person viewing this or listening to this, I'm sure, has the ability to tie their shoes. And for you, it's such an automatic thing, you don't even think about it. It feels completely effortless to the point you don't have to burn any mental calories to learn to tie your shoes in the moment when you have to get it done. But try to think back to when you were like 3-4 years old, or however it was, however old you were when you were learning to tie your shoes. Really try to remember what it was like back then when you didn't know how to tie your shoes and you were trying for the very first time. Do you remember how hard that shit was? Okay. You remember how impossible that felt for a little while? It felt complicated. I don't know about you, but like for me, I was like, what? The rabbit hole and the loop and the what? It was complicated. And it's not that tying your shoes is inherently hard, even though it felt very, very hard back then. All that it was that it was new to you, okay? Because this is what people really mean. When you say that something is hard, here's what you really mean by that. What you really mean is, my mind is not currently used to doing this thing. That's all you mean by that. Because if we stick with the tying the shoes example, you've tied your shoes now probably, 10,000 times in your life or something? So that has become a conditioned automatic pattern in your nervous system. Your brain knows what to do. As soon as you go to tie your shoes, your brain goes, yep, I've done this 1,000 times. I know what to do. And because you've done it 1,000 times, it feels routine. It's conditioned. It's automatic. That's why you could tie your shoes easily and maintain a conversation with somebody else, because the subconscious is able to tie the shoes without you even having to think about it. Driving a car is another common example for people where when you were 14, 15, learning how to drive a car, it probably felt complicated and overwhelming. It's not that driving a car is actually that difficult. It's that it was new to you. Your brain hadn't created the pattern. Your brain hadn't created the shortcut yet of how to get it done, okay? And there's a Chinese proverb that I think kind of rounds this concept out really, really nicely. And that proverb is that everything must be hard until it can become easy. And that's exactly what they mean, right? Is it's just difficult until you get used to it, till you get accustomed to it. But when we keep telling ourselves that incantation of it's hard, it's hard, it's hard, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, we further lock ourselves into the belief that there's something about the activity or the event that is just inherently hard or difficult. It's not that it's just new to us, it's that there's something about it that's hard or difficult and it's going to be impossible for us to do. So my recommendation to you is the following. Replace the word hard with the word new and just commit to that particular language choice. And then if you want extra credit, trade the word can't for the phrase I can and I will, okay? And then that will help you tremendously. I think that you're going to find that that works really well. Remember that every word that we use has an emotional consequence. Every single word that we use habitually activates a particular emotion. So if you want to change the habitual emotions that you feel regularly, the first thing is to start paying attention to what words and phrases you use that activate the negative emotion that you no longer want to feel. And you can start experimenting with words and phrases that activate the desirable emotion that you would really like to feel instead. Okay? So I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, although I see all you guys who attended live with us. Thank you for joining. I'll be back with you guys next week with more tips in a live format. Also, if you have anything you'd like me to do a live video on, please leave that in the comments or send us a note, because I would love to hear from the community anything you'd like me to do a training on or anything you have a question about, and I would be happy to serve you guys. And as always, if you'd like to utilize a completely free mental health coaching session, we offer one to everyone in our community. You can go ahead and book one whenever you'd like at mentalhealthcoaching.com, and I'll work with you directly for a half an hour to help you on whatever issue you're dealing with. Okay, so thanks for being a part of the community. I'll be excited to serve you guys next week. Take care for now. Bye.